Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about measurement, about measuring things. That's why I got this nice little ruler right here. Okay, and they call it linear measure. That's the name of the lesson. What does that word linear have in it besides ear and near? Line, right? The geometry thing. It's got line. So when we talk about something that's linear, we're talking about lines. Now, built into remember we said line doesn't really have a definition. But the meaning of the word line, the meaning is it's always straight. So really to say a straight line is almost redundant because line itself means it's going to be straight. Okay, so if I just say a line, automatically you know that it's going to be straight. All right, let's talk about something that we didn't do before. Oops. I actually didn't want to do that. I was going to put an arrow there. What would that be if I put an arrow there? It'd be a line, wouldn't it? But this time I'm not going to put an arrow. This time I'm going to put a point at one end and a point at the other end. So, does this thing keep on going forever like those lines did? No, it's not. Okay, it starts and it stops. It has a beginning and it has an end. So we don't call it a line. What do you think we call it? A line segment. That's right. We call it a line segment. Right? Because it's a portion of a line. So it has a beginning, has an end. So let's learn how to let's get this ruler out of the way. Let's learn how to designate or label the line segment. So if I call this point A and I call this point B, I would call this line segment. These points on the end. Guess what? This is not brain surgery here. So they call the points on the end the end. What do you think? Points. Very good. Okay. It's not too hard, is it? It's a weird looking end. All right, endpoints. So A and B are both endpoints. Now, some people say, well, I thought this was the end point. This is the beginning point. Well, it doesn't matter like which one begins, which one ends. They're on the end of the line segment. All right, so we call them endpoints. Does that make sense? So both of these, A and B, are both endpoints. The way that we label the line segment is kind of like we label a line, except we don't put the arrows on the end of it. All right, so this would be called line segment AB. If it doesn't have the arrows, it's line segment. Or what's another way I could call this thing? BA, right? Line segment BA. Right? So no arrows on it. That means it starts and it stops. All right? It has a beginning, has an end, and it doesn't keep on going forever. So that's line segment BA. All right, we go to that. So if we have a line segment, we can actually measure it. Could we actually measure a line? If I took a big old ruler, could I measure the length of a line? No, I couldn't measure the length of a line because a line does what? Keeps on going forever, right? And there's no way I could measure. There's no way I can get a ruler or a meter stick or anything like that to measure a line because it just keeps on going and going and going and going. I'd have to have an infinite length ruler, which they don't exist. So I couldn't measure a line, but I can measure a line segment. All right, if I have a big enough ruler, I can measure a line segment, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I don't want to get too much into this, but let's do this. I'll do this part. I tell you what, let's just use this line segment right there. And here's my ruler. Let's actually measure this line segment. So what would I do? I'd take this ruler and I would put it where the 0 starts. Let me use my arrow keys. There we go. About right there. So if I wanted to know how long that line segment was, this is in centimeters, what would I say? 9 point, what do you think? About 4. Yeah, it's a little shy of the half. I'd say 0.4 would be my guess, okay? So I would say the length of this is 9.4, and this is in centimeters, so I'm going to go centimeters. All right, does that make sense? So you could say this. You could, here would be the question. Find the length of line segment AB. So if it said find the length of line segment AB, what would your answer be? It would just be 9.4 centimeters. Let me show you something else. Another way to this phrase right here, the length of something. If you just saw AB and there's no anything on top of it, if there's no little line segment, Drew, you getting all this? Yeah. Okay, get your head up, please. Thank you. If you don't see a line segment over top of it, if you don't see a line over top of it, this automatically means this thing right here, the length of this line segment. Did that make any sense? It's kind of a subtle difference. A lot of people don't really completely understand this at the beginning. But if I just said AB, if I just said find AB, and that's all it said, What is this telling you if it doesn't have a line segment over top of it or a line over top of it? It means find the what? Find the length of that line segment. So I really don't even have to write find the length of line segment AB. I could just say find AB, and by you looking at it, you know what that means. You know that means find the length of line segment AB. So if I said find the length of it, it must mean there's some way to measure it. Maybe I give you a length or something like that. You could find the length of AB. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do this. Let's talk about length again. Let's make another line segment. Tell you what, let's make this a color. Make it red. Sorry, too late. Well, it's supposed to be red, but it doesn't look very red, does it? What if I did this? What if I said this point right here was, I don't know, at 5, and this point right here was, I don't know, 15. All right? Pretend it's a number line. All right? This is 5, this is 15. And I'll put an A and a B right here. We'll use the same letters, might as well. And what if I said find AB? There's no little symbol over top of it. So what does that mean? Find the length of AB. So how would we find the length if I give you these numbers? I don't have a ruler, I'm not measuring, but I say this point right here is at 5 and this point right here is at 15. What do you think, Dominique? Yeah, you'd go 10. What math would you do to find that? I know it's not hard, but yeah, just 15 minus 5, exactly. You just go 15 minus 5, and that would be 10. So the length is 10. 10 units, whatever it is, centimeters, meters, I don't know, whatever it is. All right, that would be the length of line segment AB. You with me on that? Okay, so that's how you would do that. You could subtract the other way. Watch this. I don't even know if they get into this, but I'm going to. You could say 5 minus 15, but this is what they do when they get real picky about this stuff. They put it in absolute values. Do you remember what absolute value is? Absolute value is how far away it is from 0, or it always comes out what? Positive. So if you put this in absolute value, you still get the same exact answer, don't you? Because 5 minus 15 is negative 10, but if it's in the absolute value, what do you get? You get a 10, a positive 10. All right? I won't get into that too much.
Yeah, I was going to say if we just did it like the first.
Yeah, that's fine. That's exactly how I would do it. But some books get a little picky and they tell you kind of this stuff, and it actually is helpful, because what if this was I don't know, let's just do this real quick. What if this right here was negative 10 and this was negative 7, all right? How would you find the distance between them? You could do it a couple different ways. You could go negative 7, what? What did we do? We went minus, didn't we? Minus what? Minus negative 10, that's right, minus negative 10. So what does that give you? That goes to plus, that gives you a positive 3. So the length, the distance between here and here is 3, isn't it? It doesn't matter which way you travel. From here to here is 3, from negative 7 to negative 10 is 3. Or you could have subtracted it the other way. You could have gone negative 10 what? Minus negative 7, that's a plus. What do you get? You get negative 3, but remember, to find the distance, you always put it in absolute value, because we don't care about it being negative. We just want to find out how far it is, what the length of it is. So it's actually the absolute value of negative 3, which is what? 3. All right, to see where that kind of comes in handy a little bit? All right, enough of that. Let's talk about betweenness. Now, every line doesn't have to be like horizontal like I've been drawing. So what if I had this? What if I said A and let's say D? And what if I put a B in right here? We would say that B is between A and D. All right? You say, well, of course it is. All right? Well, as long as you have A on one side and D on the other, then B has got to be somewhere in between. When I say in between, does it mean exactly halfway? No, it doesn't mean halfway. I mean, B could have been right here. It's still between A and D, isn't it? Make sense? You could also do this. You could say that AB, the length of AB plus the length of BD is equal. What do you think? If I took this length and then I took this length, what does it add up to be? AD, that's right, the length of AD. That's the kind of stuff, this is the very beginning of a lot of stuff that we'll be doing this year, this kind of thing, all right? Sometimes they'll say this, they'll say, they might do this, forget that. They might say that AB is 5, they might say that AD D is 12, and then it'll say find BD. Alright? Oops, I don't like that much, just that little bit right there. Okay, so what I would do, I mean, you might be able to do this in your head, but you might want to take those numbers and put them on the picture just so you can visualize it a little bit better. AB is 5, so that's 5. AD is 12. So where's AD? This whole entire thing, right, is 12. Like that. And you have to find BD. So what would you do to find what's left over? That's right, just 12 minus 5 is what? Is 7. Okay, so my work is 12 minus 5 equals 7, so BD is equal to 7. It's that kind of stuff. Seems pretty easy, doesn't it? Alright, well, they might get a little tricky and give you, I know the bell's going to ring in a second, but just hang on just a second, okay? I mean, it's only 8th period, right? Afterwards. I mean, after this. Watch this. This is X, this is Y, and this is Z. Now, they could give you this. They could put the value right on top of the little line segment. And this is 14, and then they might do this. They might not use that little fancy thing, but they might just put straight lines on there. 5a minus 4. Like, uh-oh, now we're getting somewhere. This is the betweenness. Y is between, isn't it? So what must be true? XY plus what? YZ has got to equal what? XZ. Alright? I could write that down. I'm running out of time. But instead of writing all that down, what are the values of those things? What's the value? What's the length of XY? It's 3a. So 3a, what? Plus 14 has got to equal that whole entire length. What's the whole entire length? 5a minus 4. You follow me on that? So these two add up to be the whole thing. Now look at this. Now we can do some algebra, can't we? And we can actually find A. Once we find A, we can find the length of this segment. Once we find A, we can find the length of the whole thing. Or just add this to this, couldn't we? Alright, so let's do this real quick. Remember this? This is quick little algebra. Hopefully you remember this stuff. Subtract 3a from both sides. I'm going to add a 4 to both sides. And so that's 18, and that's 8a.
Please excuse this interruption.
So,
all girls who are signed up for strengthening and conditioning 8th period
did I do that right?
With Mrs. Richardson should
What
be
did I
in
do?
the Pusey
Oh,
lobby
14.
at the end of this period.
14.
The following students please come to the office. Alex Healy, Dean Wilson, Keenan Dorsey,
Wait a minute.
Andrew Thomas in the 6th grade.
What did I do? I messed up
Claudia
somewhere.
Glover, Jada Moore.
Nah, I did something wrong with the 4s. Hang on a second. 4 and 14. What did I just do? 3a plus 14 equals 5a minus 4.
The following students
I
please
added a
come
4.
to the office. Dallas
Oh,
Taylor, Tiffany Donnelly, Anthony Baghetti,
Oh, 2. Why did I put 8?
Brianna Navarro.
Okay. Yeah,
and
yeah,
Hannah
stupid.
Gaston.
Sorry about that. Hold on.
Please come to the office.
I wish you would stop talking. Okay, so divide by 2. What's a equal to? It's 9. So what's this whole thing right here, this length? 3 times 9 is? Now, it doesn't look. Look, that's 14. That looks longer than this, doesn't it? That may happen sometimes. You may see something and say, well, wait a minute, that looks smaller than this. It's not always drawn to scale. All right, so make sure you understand that. Let me give you a little assignment. And then you can enjoy your long weekend by doing some geometry. So we're going to do page 18 and 19. Write it down, then you can go. 10 to 32. 10 to 32. It's page 18 and 19. It's section 1-2. Section 1-2. There it is right there. Page 18 and 19. 10 to 32. All right, have fun with that. Have a good weekend. See you, what, Tuesday, right?